superstar. He is an absolute superstar, Tom Mitchell. Cripps at the back. Cripps is too good. Nil, yes! Oh, how good was that?
Roosie, today we're going to break down the 2005 and 2006 grand finals, which you were obviously the premiership coach of in 05. But before that, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Do you remember the first day we met?
I don't know the first day.
I remember it.
What would tell me about it?
So it was in Sydney.
Yeah.
I was playing in the under-16 nationals.
Yep.
And I was a bit of a no-namer going into it. And I think I had a really good game. I had a good game. I had 40. You don't tackle, as we know, when you have 40. So I had one of those games. And then I got a call from someone at the club, and I came and met you at the SCG before a Swans game.
Oh,
and we sort of met on the sideline.
Yeah.
Fast forward 12 months, I was living with you in Sydney.
Yeah, it was a good time, mate. Like, it's funny, with your dad and me and playing through that era when everyone got to know everyone pretty well. And then I played the state footy, and then this snotty-nosed little brat comes over and, I think he tried to bully Dylan and Tyler a little bit.
I did. I sorted them out.
He had a bit of swagger pretty early. But so then I thought, let's get you out in the driveway. We had the basketball ring, and I put on a bit of a clinic, I must say, that particular day.
Almost had a broken ankle.
Nearly ended your career.
You ended my career before it started.
Yeah, nearly ended your career.
Tried to dunk on me.
But I think, to be honest, the lesson was more important than the injury.
True. I learned the hard
Don't
way.
muck around with the big dogs.
Yeah, don't go in the paint with the bloke that will throw you around.
100%.
You did have a good jump shot, I'll give it to you. You could train a three-pointer, but they were great days. So obviously had an amazing opportunity to come up and live with you, and your family have been so good to me over the years. Become very close with your boys, Dill, Tyler, and Tammy as well, your wife. But we had some great times, obviously playing basketball, and then I remember I lived with Goodsy for a bit, but I just sort of was. I had the nickname actually the Golden Child because no player had ever, when I was 16, gone and lived with the coach. But you guys did look after me. It
was great, mate. And it's funny, Dylan tells the story actually because he mentors young boys, and he was telling the story about you on the weekend. He said what he noticed about. I don't know how we even got on to you, mate, but we talk about lessons and all that sort of stuff. And he just remembered. He said, "I remember Tommy Mitchell come and stay at the house. He'd always do his ice bars, his diet. He was always so he remembers."
Right, interesting.
So it was actually really cool. Yeah, to have mentors about the same age. You teaching the boys stuff about your preparation and the way you went about your footy. You were such a, I don't want to blow wind up your backside, but you were such a good kid, respectful. So having good people around your boys, and as I said, with your dad and that era of a lot of really good guys that I used to hang around with, it was pretty cool. So it was good to have you in the house.
Yeah,
and,
a lot of good.
And mate, when you won the
memories.
Brownlow, we were stoked, mate. Because there's even though I wasn't coaching Sydney at the time, that strong connection,
definitely
that we had, and it was an interesting career you had, sort of thing, moving from club to club, but mate, it was great to have you in the house for sure.
Spot on. And now you're living in America. Before we get into the game, just wanted to sort of catch up on what you've been doing. You're living in America, even Hawaii still.
Yep.
And on that, so we've got some American sport coming to Australia. So Ticketverse are a sponsor of us here at Ball Magnet. So we've got the 49ers playing the Rams. Tammy's from California.
Yeah.
Is she 49ers fan growing
big
up?
49ers.
So she'll be watching whether it's at the game or on TV. But it's huge that they're going to have 90,000 at the G for an NFL game, a regular season game. It's not a showcase game. It's legit.
Mate, it's amazing. What Melbourne and Victoria as a sporting capital, like Tammy, and when I first started, she went through the Joe Montana era and the Jerry Rice and Bill Walsh, and they were an iconic team. An iconic team. I got to meet Joe Montana once. I went to a leadership conference in Pebble Beach. Actually,
Wow.
He was one of the speakers. But now it's more mainstream, isn't it? But I remember starting to watch it. I used to work at the AMP, and I used to sneak down in the morning because it was Monday morning. I used to sneak down, put the telly on, and watch the Super Bowl back in the early 80s.
Yeah, really.
Now it's so much
It's
more
everywhere
mainstream.
now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's to get them, to get those two teams to, the MCG. I know it's hard to get a ticket, but if you can,
it's definitely worth it.
Definitely worth going.
That's it, spot on. Well, shout out to Ticketverse because I actually went to Barcelona, which you gave me some great recommendations for last week, and obviously the World Cup's just finished in Spain, but Ticketverse have just partnered with Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid as well in the soccer. So for anyone heading over to Europe, head to Ticketverse to get tickets to see these amazing Spanish teams. Obviously, some of the best players in the world playing in those leagues.
I also think, mate, it's a good shout out because I think even people that don't follow sport, I always say this, like my business now, Performance by Design, is we do workshops with executives, and I might say to executives, if you can get to a sporting game anywhere in the world, it's a real helicopter view of your business. Is everyone playing together? Is everyone playing as a team? And then in Europe, I haven't been to a soccer game. I must
European
go.
soccer is unbelievable,
Nuts.
especially the big clubs like Real, like Mbappe, Bellingham, the superstar players. These guys are earning more than a whole entire AFL team salary cap. Like, it's incredible the money they earn,
but the pressure too. You talk about. Yeah, we talk a lot about this to businesses. What do you do under pressure? But sport is about practicing. And Mbappe, with the kicking the 10 goals or whatever he kicked, he just doesn't go to the World Cup and kick 10 goals.
No, it doesn't
happen. It's all the preparation that goes into it, all the pressure from the team that he's in and the media and the speculation and all those sorts of things. So, it's definitely worth getting to sporting games all around the world.
Well, on that, Roosie, let's get to the game itself now. 2005 grand. I'm taking you back 2 decades.
Yeah.
This is a long time, but in terms of you talk about structure, strategy, culture, all those things you're talking about with your business, and the AFL Grand Final is one of the biggest sporting events in the world. Well, maybe not the world, but it's the biggest one in Australia. So let's get to the game itself. So we're going to play some highlights through the first and third quarter. Then we're going to watch the last quarter. We're going to break down what won the Swans, what their first flag in over 70 years. So in a general sense, so going into these games, here's Daniel Kerr bursting through a stoppage to Fletcher to Judd. Obviously, Cousins isn't involved in that passage, but how do you combat 3 genuine A-grade superstars? Do you tag all of them?
Not all of them. I think Benny Matthews was on Kerr and he
got injured there.
He did his ankle early, but that stoppage is probably the opposite to what we wanted to see. So, because what you don't want, as you saw in that stoppage, when they come out front of the stoppage, you can't stop them. So one of our philosophies was to have a defensive wingman, defensive side, and a corridor. So try and block their easy access front.
Yep.
Cox, it's ironic now that Cox is the coach of he was one of the few ruckmen we'd tag as well. We didn't tag him on this day.
You tag a ruckman?
We tagged the ruck.
With the ruck, or who would you tag him
with? With the ruck. So we would get Darren Jolly to run with him or someone. Because he could get 30. So my point is, not only had Cousins, Kerr, Judd, you had your ruckman that could get 30.
Yeah.
And then guys on the outside, Braun, Fletcher, Embley, they could always they got the footy as well.
So how many tag, I know you're massive on the tag. I agree. Even in today's day and age, teams too often talk about, we'll back our system in. That's a load of crap. If there's a good player, shut them out.
Yeah.
Every great player hates having someone on them, glued to them. So what's the limit on number of tags that you would run?
Probably 2.
Yeah.
Again, depending on the team, but certainly West Coast, there's no shortage of guys you could tag.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do it a bit different. Sometimes we would do a Braun or a Fletcher on the outside.
Okay.
Not always. Every now and then, not in the grand final, but every now and then, maybe 06 we might have. We might have gone Goodsey versus Judd.
Yeah.
That
happened.
Just to try and hurt him.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, try and hurt him the other way sort of thing. So, look, it really depended on the team. But you're right. Why let the best player?
Yeah.
With all due respect, Nick Dacos, if I was coaching today, you wouldn't be running around.
No, he wouldn't be doing whatever he wants.
45.
100%. So, and then on that, how do you determine who it is? So you mentioned sometimes it might be Braun, but is it who's in hot form going in? Is that what it is?
Yeah, pretty much. But also not. West Coast were relatively predictable, so it wasn't it was a guess who to tag, but it was probably more what we wanted to do on the day. Did we want to surprise them a bit with, as I said, a Goodsey versus Judd? Kirky was we had some really disciplined players, Tommy. Really disciplined. Crouchy, Benny Matthews, Kirky. So there was no shortage of players that were. And when we're talking about taggers, let's be really clear, we're not talking about guys that couldn't get the footy. Yeah, we were talking about guys that we were looking to get the opposition down to low numbers, but we also wanted our guys to win the contest, get the ball on the outside to our outside players. So it wasn't just a full-on shutdown role.
Yeah. What I noticed watching these games and the videos we're going to go through today is you mentioned the word discipline and the culture which you were a major factor in building, the hard discipline United, which was the 3 traits when I arrived at Sydney. I assume it was the same from what you created.
Yep.
Discipline is the word when I was watching this back that stands out. You've got so many guys, selfless, playing their role. When we go to break down stoppages, that you've got everyone just playing a role, no one really for themselves. You had Goodsey as the guy who would break the game open. He was the super talent, clearly. But how do you get everyone to buy into that? Because there's so many egos in an AFL. Everyone wants their lick of the ice cream.
Yeah.
But how do you get everyone to buy into that?
I think that's probably the thing when I look back, mate, I'm most proud of, because when you're doing it, you probably don't appreciate how selfless the group was. Yeah, because we certainly weren't as talented as West Coast, and I say that respectfully. Yeah, but we had a fair bit of talent. But the key to our success over that period was the selflessness. You know, our guys' abilities to put their egos in the locker and say, look, this is my role today. And it happened over a 3-year period, really. We started at the start of end of 2002, went down to Coffs Harbour, that hard discipline, relentless. So it was, you got to practice it. It doesn't just happen that you turn up and become selfless.
You need good character. It needs to filter from the top, like your Kirkies, your Judd Boltons, which I know these guys through being there at the back end. Craig Bolton, Goodsy, like how many good blokes are there who lead it, and that filters through the group.
100%. You got to start with your leaders. If your leaders are prepared to be selfless and play their role, and probably the other thing, mate, your biggest fear, and people ask me this a fair bit, what's your biggest fear going to the grand final? It's probably that players stop playing their role, mate, because all of it, and it's not necessarily selfish from their point of view, but it's more like I've got to do more today. And that was probably one of their big focuses going into the game. And at quarter time, half time, 3/4 time, and as you said, we'll go through the last quarter.
Yeah.
I think just consistently saying to them, God, don't think you have to do more today. If you do your role and you trust Jude and Kirky and Goodsy and Barry Hall and Mick and all that crew, I reckon we'll win the game.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we've just seen some highlights rolling in the background review of the first 3 quarters. We've got the last couple of minutes here of the third quarter. So as you can see, the scoreline is 41 Sydney, 33 West Coast. These games are always low scoring. Yeah. And as we know, the history of these games, they were always within a goal, always close. So as a coach, we'll break down the stoppage itself here. You can already see it's one-on-one all over the field. Yep. But did a low scoring game suit you, and is that what you wanted?
Not necessarily. There's probably a bit of a myth around, that we necessarily wanted a low scoring game. Like our philosophy was, we want a contest, and if they win it, we want to get it back really quickly. Yeah. I think one of the biggest myths about us, we were a flooding team and we'd flood back. Yeah, like every other team, as the ball moved up the field, you'd slide back into defence. But generally, as you can see on the vision, we were really hard one-on-one. Yeah. We were like, if they win it, guys, close your man out really, really quickly. And I think because of that, it was just hard to score. And other teams were really disciplined. West Coast were a really disciplined team as well. Even though they had talent, they were pretty much one-on-one. Yeah. Woosha would back his defenders versus our forwards. Yeah. So it just happened to be that it was hard to get space. Yeah. It was hard to get on the outside. Yeah. It was hard to get momentum and hard to get on a roll.
Because both teams were playing that way. It was an arm wrestle.
Yeah, it was just an arm wrestle because both teams were really disciplined. And despite, I think one of the myths about West Coast was probably that they were just a talented team. They were super disciplined. Yeah. They were really well coached. Yeah. They were hard to beat because of their talent, but also because of their discipline as well.
Here's a stoppage, Roosie, 3 minutes 51 to go in the third. And this is exactly what you're talking about. There's one-on-ones within the stoppage, but the ball spills to your defensive side and you've got cover there. So that's exactly what you're talking about. The concept of you never allowing, or ideally, never allowing Kerr, Cousins, Judd to come out the front.
Yeah, so we want to own outside space a bit. So even though we want to be, winning contested ball, our challenge is, you can see here Wirrpanda, sliding out. Like he was probably, that real dangerous defender as well. Like most of the other defenders were sort of one-on-one. We had probably Ty Canali. They had David Wirrpanda. So they're outside the midfield. They were the ones that were the other problems we needed to sort out. But as you see, as you're watching the game, you can see there's very few free players, isn't there?
Yeah, mate. It's actually, as much as it's low scoring, I'd rather, as a fan, watch a close game, low scoring, than high scoring, someone wins by 5 goals. Like everything's on edge. Like look at this contest by Luke Ablett. I know he has a blunder later on, which we've spoken about, but look at this one-on-one against Judd in the goal square to save a goal. You've got Paul Bevan, roll over Sampy.
But if you go back, mate, I reckon the Paul Bevan one's classic, mate. You never see a back pocket running next to a forward pocket now.
Like that?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. His man Sampy,
he
follows him into the contest.
Yeah.
one-on-one when it hits the ground. You watch it now. One defender will go back of the stoppage, the other forward will go front of the stoppage.
But they're numbered off. You don't see these close gaps in today's AFL.
Not at all. You'll see forwards running into the forward line by themselves. And that's not right or wrong, but your point here. Look at that contest there. There's another contest there.
Yeah, there's no space.
There's no space. Everything's contest to contest. As I said before, I think the big thing was West Coast probably didn't get enough credit for being a really good one-on-one team as well. So it's not like it's just Ablett versus Judd. Go and stop it here. Do you see that now?
Yeah.
With that amount of space around a stoppage, you really don't see that anymore, do you?
Don't. No, this footy, it looks so different. It looks like a different game today. It doesn't look like this. If West Coast threw something at you, let's just say, you said they played into the one-on-one style. If they threw something in to try throw it out numbers, would that have thrown you off? What if they threw an extra 2 numbers behind the ball and you even them up, but then they've got an open 50? Would you have just kept playing one-on-one?
They did that in 06. They threw Wirrpanda. I don't know where he started, but they went Wirrpanda 7th defender. Ed threw us. It really did.
Really?
We just didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And then in the box, it's sort of like, what do we do? Because you're right. If you man that one up, then do they slide another one up? But you don't want Wirrpanda free because he's their sort of most creative, running sort of defender. So, and that really surprised. It's probably a bit like us if we threw Goodsy behind the ball or whatever. Like it's possible or freed up. When both teams are so fixated on contest. When something unusual happens, I don't know what Busher would say, but it did throw us off in 06.
We're about to get into the last quarter here, but so there's Judd. You've got Luke Ablett all over him. You've got Buchanan, who was unbelievable in this game, all over him. So it looks like Judd was the priority in this game.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Juddy's got that capacity to win inside ball and get outside, he's such an explosive player. So I would say Eamon Buchanan would have been the high half forward. So he would have come up on the outside of a stoppage, which again was a win-win for us because they would come up with him. Mm-hmm. So we'd end up with
lower numbers
in forward 50.
Yeah.
So we were happy for Eamon to come up. He's a good contested ball. He was tough. He was a really good tackler. He could own outside space. So even there, you look at the disposals, that's interesting.
The numbers have jumped up. So 3/4 time almost. Judd and Cousins are the highest. Kerr's injured, so that's a win for you. Yeah. One less to manage. But wow.
Yeah, so there's still our philosophy was you're never going to drop them back to 10, 15, but it's the damage that you don't want them to do. Yeah, here's outside space. And they're starting to get outside space.
So this is panic for you in the box.
Yeah, but stop it there, Tommy, because this is really interesting. Go back on this, and I'll explain it in both the context of today's footy. All right? You get outside space now. Generally, today, where's that forward? He's standing 10 metres in front of his opponent.
Yeah.
So you don't hold that guy up. It's a goal over the top.
Yeah.
What we see now.
Yeah.
You don't hold that guy up out now. Back shoulder. Leo Barry, athletic.
Yeah.
I think that's Lewis Roberts Thompson, or Bevo, athletic.
Yeah.
Back shoulder. So they're covering by their back shoulder defence the guy that hasn't played his role at the front. You can't do that now.
Yeah.
Because that defender is 10 metres in front of his man.
Mm.
That guy at the stoppies doesn't do his role. Guess what happens?
Yeah,
someone's kicking a goal on the goal square.
Yeah, it's a good point. When you look at today's game and you see, it's different footy, as we know. So there's one-on-ones everywhere. Look, you can just see them everywhere. You see team defence and how there's a lot of teams are basically zoning the whole field. It's probably Clarko brought in.
Yeah, Clark. Yep.
But now, as we spoke on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and you mentioned that teams are having, to beat Brisbane, you've got to keep them under 100 uncontested marks. They're having 120 sometimes. Do you think the game needs to go more back to one-on-one?
I think it will, and there's a couple of reasons why. It started to become a zoning game when I was at Melbourne, and I had a young team at Melbourne. It's really hard to teach. Some players have got really good instincts, as you know.
The zoning, you mean? It's hard to teach.
Zoning
you need smart guys because one breakdown cooks everything.
Mate, one breakdown, you're done. Like I said, one breakdown, there's no Leo Barry defending back shoulder.
Yeah.
So Luke Hodge, naturally, as a defender, is a great zoning defender.
Yeah.
Because he's got natural instinct. So he's able to zone. And if you go back into, without being an old player, you go back into my era, or even a McGovern from West Coast.
That's how you played, wasn't it?
That's how a lot of players played back then.
Yeah.
They would. I'm not going to go with the dumb forward over there. McGovern did it fantastically well.
Yeah.
But it's hard to teach. It really is hard to teach. And as you said, if Brisbane Lions win 3 in a row, they're the most controlled team in the competition. They just pick a target, chip it. There's so many free players now. I think because it goes in evolutions. You've seen it. You've played for long enough.
The game changes all the time.
The game changes all the time. And typically it'll change based on the teams that win it. And if Brisbane win 3 in a row, I think you will. And I've already spoken to a number of coaches that have sort of said, look, they're watching it. And it might go back. Yeah, like when you played Sydney, Tommy, this is another one. What Horse did really well was a Teddy Richards sliding off, or a Malcheski, or a Grundy owning back. Like I remember days when Sydney were defending 60, 65 inside 50s against.
Yeah.
And still holding teams to 10, 11 goals and still winning them.
Well, so there's a good example of different systems working. So I played in the Sydney system, which probably was the evolution of you, a lot of back shoulder one-on-one defence, particularly in D50.
Yep.
Then I went to Hawthorn, which was the opposite.
But
two systems, polar opposite, that can both work if you have buy-in for either.
100%. I don't think, as I said before, there's not a right or wrong, but I think what you're saying is right. I think if Brisbane win it, it will be interesting to with teams go, geez, if we just can't give everyone so much, because it's a real ball use game now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still contest, but it's much more of a ball use turnover game now.
Yeah, spot on. We're just about to start the fourth quarter, Rizzy. Do you remember what your address was heading to the last quarter? You got a 2-point lead.
Yep.
What was the address?
Yeah, I do. It's funny because I remember you walk down and you go, what am I going to say? We're 2 points up. And I say, and it's boring as it sounds, I was like, well, things are going pretty well. Like we're actually owning outside space. We're controlling the tempo of a game in a sense. So I think both coaches are pretty happy at this stage with the way the game's at. We just need to do it longer than they did,
I keep hearing you say outside space, so it sounds like such a defensive focus. So at what point do you find a way to score? Because Crouch runs through you found a bit of space in this instance. He hits up Mickey O, who didn't have his best kicking day. Sorry, Madge, but he was good that kicking him well the next year. But how do you if you constantly have the focus of outside space defence, how do you find your?
Well, when I'm talking about outside space, I'm saying offence and defence.
Both.
So go back on that because it's a good example.
Yeah.
So we want to own outside space, so that defensively and offensively.
So for the fans listening, it's basically that means keep your player in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is a good example where Crouch is a really good two-way running player. Buchanan's a high half forward, I think, in that instance. Yeah, so we've got outside space here.
Gotcha.
So if we can own it offensively, because I think it was unfair at times. We were seen as a very defensive. The week before, we'd kicked 7 goals in quarter one against St Kilda and 7 goals in the last quarter.
Yeah.
We just wanted to we had a strategy where we wanted to win contest inside. We wanted to own outside space both offensively and defensively so we could score more than the opposition, make it hard for them to score and make it easier for us to score. And that was a great example how much space we had for Mickey. And you could see how much space they gave us as well.
Yeah.
Like Eamon Buchanan was a high half forward. Mick had the 50 completely to himself.
Yeah, how good.
So we were getting what we wanted. And they were, as I said, they probably were as well. And that's why the games were so fascinating.
Do you take offence, or did maybe not the Swans players take offence that you had this perception of a hard disciplined team, but you still had some talent?
Yeah.
You have to have talent. Did you ever take offence to that, or you didn't care?
I didn't, and I don't think the players did. I think
you did, or you
I think it was Kirky. No, I didn't. Sorry. But I think Kirky coined the phrase one stage, we're the Cortinas versus the Ferraris.
Yeah.
So the players took it as a bit of a badge of honour, I think, that we knew as a group we just didn't quite have enough talent to win a premiership on talent alone. Right. We had to have a really clear system, and as we said before, to the players' credit, I don't think they did. I think they enjoyed the way we played. They took it as a compliment. If other people talked about us the way they did. Kirky, as I said, the Cortinas versus the Ferraris or whatever, Lamborghinis or whatever he talked about. So we were very self-aware.
Yeah.
We knew, probably, mate, this is an interesting one. Probably when I look back on it now, I realised we probably had more talent than I thought at the time. Now, I don't know why that is. I saw, and Jude, if you listen to this hopefully it's a compliment.
I'm playing in a Legends game with him next week, so I'll pass it on, whatever you say.
Yeah, pass it on. I watched, it was during COVID and it was on Fox Footy, and it was Sydney versus Freo when I was coaching, and Jude dominated the quarter, got us back in the game. And I think I must have been sitting there with Dylan or Tyler or Tammy. I said, geez, Jude was a much better player than I thought he was. But when you're coaching, you know what it's like, mate. When you're coaching, you're not really worried about individual players at all.
No, it's a team.
It's the whole team you're worried about.
Yeah.
So now when I look back, I appreciate the talent way more than I did probably when I was coaching them.
Yep. Spot on. We're just letting some play unfold here. Some of the desperate efforts, we'll see Leo Barry late. The mark's obviously remembered, but a play he has late, he crashes in so many times. He looks like a player that was an undersized defender, very athletic, as you mentioned, but he just gets a hand in there at the 17-minute mark, and then just desperation from a lot of your backs. You know, Craig Bolton's another.
Yep.
Talk to me about these guys that you had, like you talk about talent, but how many you had a lot of tough players.
Oh, tough players, yeah. Leo was 184, 185 centimetre full back. Full back. And he weighed about 85 kicks. What he was able to do was extraordinary, but he was such a good athlete. His agility was elite. His speed and power was elite. He wasn't great endurance, but he didn't need to be. And Craig Bolt was a good athlete as well. Again, undersized, 6'2", centre back, but really, really good at closing speed. You know, those defenders that are able to close a gap. Yeah. So we had defenders that could defend, and that was really helpful. We didn't have to necessarily help our defence too much.
They'd get it done.
Because they'd get it done, and that allowed us to do a lot of stuff around the ball, or slide Ty Canelli, who was our most creative sort of running defender. So, tactically we'd often slide Ty back off a high half forward that we didn't really rate that highly. Yep. Now, that didn't happen against the West Coast Eagles because they had so many, like Sampy and the blokes up forward were really talented players. So, but generally speaking, our defenders could defend. Lewis Roberts-Thompson, our three keys could defend.
Yeah, I got a quick Craig Bolton story for you
while
we're talking about him. So he used to pick me up for training. I'm not sure if you remember when I lived with you. He'd pick me up for training every day. So he was a ripper. I spoke to him on the phone a few weeks ago. He kept in touch. Very nice bloke. But I was in rehab with him at the time. So there used to be this machine called the grinder in the downstairs room if you're in rehab. And I remember we're doing a 1 minute rep on the grinder, and I pulled up a few seconds short. Gave me the biggest cook of my life. I was 16. He said, we don't pull up short here. And I was like, I never forgot it. The rest of my career, I always made sure I went at least a line or a bit over. So a great lesson from a player like that.
Mate, I talk about this a lot, about discipline. Like there was so many occasions I would have no idea that players would discipline each other. I remember, I can't remember if it was Kirky or Stewie Maxwell walked past me often. They were yawning. I said, mate, what are you yawning for, mate? He goes, we had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning. I knew what that meant. Yeah. They just disciplined themselves. Someone had missed a massage or someone had done something wrong.
Self-disciplined team.
Self-disciplined team. I said, mate, is there anything I need to do? And they said, no, we've covered it. It's all sorted out.
It's pretty awesome to have that as a coach.
Mate, it's so much easier to coach when you've got leaders that are really disciplined.
This is a key moment of the 05 grand final. Don't want to embarrass him, but Luke Ablett kicks it across goal to Ben Cousins, who kicks the goal. Yep. Again, not a lot of switching in these games, but that is a mistake. If you guys lost this grand final, that would have been highlighted. But look at the players that get over to him. You'll see Goodsy comes into the screen. Yep. Like Luke Ablett has 90,000 people talking about him right now. He's embarrassed. Look at the Canale Goods get straight to him. What are you feeling in the coach's box at this point? Because you were very measured and mellow all the time. Are you sort of what was he doing, or are you? How can we move on? This is a huge moment.
Huge moment. This is a great shot, mate. Leave this shot on because I reckon what's happened, and I'll talk you through it because I remember it specifically. The ball goes across, Cousins has marked it. The box is deflated. The crowd's deflated. Everyone's deflated. He's going to kick a goal to put him in front. I remember looking down and seeing Goodsy and Ty go to Luke, and I remember thinking, I reckon we're going to win this game.
Even in that
moment. It was in that moment. And I could even sense that the crowd looked down at this moment to see his teammates come and pick it up. That moment on the field calmed the box down and gave us confidence, which is really weird when you look at it that. But that was the impact that those two players, and there was a couple others I think ran over as well. That was the impact those two players had on that moment in that whole stadium at that time.
You can see Ablett, he's shattered, he's a bit anxious. I think he's playing on a player, Chris Judd, who to this point in time, I think he's had 11 clearances. He might give away a free kick here. Bloody hard players to curtail who are so powerful. But like we showed earlier, at the end of the third, he had his moment against Judd in the goal scorer. He saved the goal. So it sort of, Footy
Yeah,
goes
look,
in
we
swings
were
and
aware.
roundabouts.
The task we were giving players was difficult, like to play on Cousins and Judd and Kerr. But again, probably the other thing we knew, mate, is if someone didn't do well, which is perfectly, it may happen, then we had another one. It was that sort of one man up, one man down philosophy. We knew that someone else could step up. We could put a Benny Matthews, Kirky, Crouchy, and they also had a capacity to win the ball as well. So, in that moment, Luke had a couple of bad moments, but as I said, I remember in the box, as silly as it was, we panicked early and then we calmed down.
Yeah.
Things settled back down and we just got back into coaching the team.
Love that. This is a huge moment from Davo, who he probably fits in the bracket, I think, of one of the most talented players on the team. Like in these grand finals, he kicks some absolute bombs from 60.
Yeah.
He must have some speed because he just burned a few blokes there. Can you talk about Davo, both the iconic game, the semi-final, which this game doesn't happen if he doesn't win that game with 4 goals in the last. So talk about that night briefly, and then the talent he brings. Am I accurate in saying he was, in terms of pure talent, top 3 talent on the list?
Oh, mate, and IQ and footy IQ. So he had a combination of incredible talent and football IQ. And probably the hardest thing was Davo was, as you know, Tommy, the standards were so high. It wasn't like he was he was terrible or behaviour or whatever, but the standard of the group was so high that the outliers weren't that low.
They stood out though.
They just stood out. But his goal in the semi-final, mate, as you said, his clutch goals, his skills, his power, his ability to kick goals. I mean, that quarter he played in that semi-final is the best quarter finals footy ever played, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He kicked 4 goals
in a low scoring game.
And kicked them from every one contested mark versus 3. 2 stoppage goals, 1 running away. The best goal he kicked, mate, was the one he ran away from the stoppage from 45 metres out and hooked it around his body. So, super talented. And when Davo was on, we were such a better team. When he was disciplined, when he was relentless, when he was hard, and all those sorts of things. Yeah, he made us a much better team.
Look at this pick up from Judd. I'm just admiring while you're talking. Look at this at full speed scoop. This was him at his absolute best. Like, that's far out. That's incredible.
Mate, his speed, power, and we know, his ability to just, and they had 3 of them without disrespecting any of the other players. But Kirk, Cousins and Judd, that's an elite midfield. That's Black.
That's the best.
Ackermanis,
you can make a case as the
Voss.
best midfield ever. Kerr, this year was the year Cousins won the Brownlow. Kerr came second.
No, Kerr was underrated.
He was my favourite of the 3 to watch play. And I know that's a minority view, but growing up, I loved him. I loved Kerr.
He was, I agree, mate. I agree. It was splitting hairs when you're looking at Cousins, Kerr and Judd. But Cousins and Juddy have both got Brownlows. Kerr.
He was 1 vote off winning it though, multiple times.
But what I'm saying is most people will go, he wasn't as good. I reckon Kerr, Cousins and Judd were equal in terms of their ability to impact games. No question.
Yeah. I want to break down a centre bounce with you.
Yep.
So in today's day and age, there's Woosher in the box. He looks pretty calm like you always were.
Yeah.
Why was that, by the way? You were always pretty calm. You just did, because you see coaches yell, you just always felt, what benefit does that have? You had control of the emotions.
Yeah, I'm naturally pretty calm. That's my personality. But I just worked better when I was calmer. I think we make better decisions. It wasn't like at times you wouldn't go nuts, but you try and leave that little, that had happened for 30 seconds and then you'd move on. And so I just made better decisions. I think we made better decisions as coaching group. We were a very tactical team, so we had to be on our guard. We had to be really specific with our players. So that was just who I was and who we tried to be.
So I want to talk to you about a centre bounce because a stoppage around the ground, as we've spoken about, you can bring numbers up.
Yeah.
You can get coverage from corridor, sweeper. Centre bounce is very open. There's 8 players total, clearly. 3 at ground level for each team. So this would be hard for you to go back in time and remember because you clearly have midfield coaches specific for this scenario. But again, it still does look quite one-on-one from what I see in most of these situations. Again,
trying to own the outside a bit. We call it sort of a defensive triangle a bit. We don't want Judd and Cousins and Kerr sprinting through the middle. So you've got the back there, inside shoulder, the 2 behind the centre there. I think that's Kirky.
So at least to me, it looks like goal side and
pushing
them away from corridor.
Pushing under. This guy we'd like to see probably slide where Cox is a bit. So he's not. We don't want Cox going offhand to. Is that? I don't know if that's Kerr. It's hard to see because of the blurry. But we'll see. Yeah, Kerr.
You're saying bring him down to the.
Yeah. So where the line is there.
Yeah.
So if they win it, we're not unhappy for Cox to go defensive side. To go back.
Yeah.
We just don't want him to come straight through. But, I mean, clearly we want to back Joels as well. So, yeah, we've got some space here for Foz to go in if it's right-hand hit. You know, Curry might be going the other way, which means, which is Crouchy. So, look, Crouchy, Kerr ends up winning it. Crouchy comes up. Fozzie. So, we just don't want to charge forward.
Yeah. So, it's the same mantra. It's force them.
Force them.
Away.
If they're going to win it,
they're going away.
Force them away. If we're going to win it, we've owned inside and outside space, so we're going to get on the outside. Yeah, hopefully Ty Kennelly coming off half back or someone, so we can get it out to our wing, and then we can get it into our forward 50.
And then you see the very next ball up, a repeat ball up. Look at the numbers come up. And then this is a really interesting shot. So it flashes here at the 13:30 minute mark.
Yep.
To the West Coast forward line. They've brought 6 forwards. I'm not sure if this was a pattern, but they've brought 6 forwards deep. So in today's day and age, what would happen?
Yep.
A Swans player would call their bluff. He would come up and stand at the top of the 50 and say, all right, well, if you're going to leave me here and it spills to me, I'm going to rebound. But you've opted to defend one-on-one. Why is that?
Well, again, we were pretty comfortable backing in our units, like our forward unit, our mid unit, because what we would hear, it's great vision. So just go back a bit, Tommy.
Yep.
So you can see behind the stoppage, we've got good coverage anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, so we're trying to win the stoppage.
Yeah.
This is a bit of the myth of the Sydney. We want to win and go forward and kick a goal.
Yeah.
We're not going to wait for them to get it down their forward line and flood back with numbers and then bring it out. Yeah, we want our mids. We want Joels. We want our mids. We want our half forwards coming up. I don't know what our forward looks like, but I suspect it's pretty open.
Yeah. It looks like you've brought forwards up.
Because we've brought forwards up. They've come up with us as well.
Well, here you go.
Yeah, look at that.
It goes forward. You got a one-on-one at the top of the 50.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. That's exactly what you're talking about. You got Michael O'Loughlin with a 450 to himself.
100%. And we got Goodsy running the outside, and so if he gets a handball receive. So we're an aggressive offensive team when we win the ball. And look at the space that Mick's got here.
Yeah, a great play from Barry Hall to break through there. But isn't that great footy IQ from yourself to say that, okay, they had that, but wait until it goes our way and look what we would have had, and it happened.
Yeah. But again, because I just want to be really clear, we'd back our defenders one-on-one, but we also had really good coverage around the stoppage because they come up with it. Now, the problem arises, and I touched on this for the next year, Tommy, the problem arises if Wirrpanda doesn't come up with you.
Yeah, and he's spare.
Yeah. Then you've got to say, well, are we going to do the damage or are we going to kick it back to him, which is really, really interesting.
This is a big moment as well. So West Coast go deep. Again, great contest from Leo Barry. Goodsy goes back with the flight. A moment Staker would have liked back. He's running into an open goal. Fumbles again. They had a few moments, and this, late in the game as well when Ty Kennelly rushes it through the points. We all know that play. They had a few moments where it rolls out the back. As a coach, that's the most stressful feeling. Your heart sort of sinks. It's a goal. If it pops up, it's a goal.
We'll go back on this because I reckon it was Staker versus Goodsy at this stage.
It was. Staker was on Goods at the last stoppage.
So Goodsy, who's our most offensive mid or high half forward, is going to that contest, which we're not happy for. But look where Staker is. That's smart play by Staker. Yeah. So they're the moments, mate. But there's Benny Matthews. Benny's covering for Goodsy. Goodsy's going to that contest, and then we get back in. We get back in our mode again. Willow, Paul Williams is a really good outside player. So we're getting on our outside players outside. We're able to control stoppages, get the ball, and then Mick's getting so much space inside 50.
What do you do from a coaching point of view? So Mick had the yips a little bit this day. I think he kicked 1-4 maybe.
Yeah.
What do you do? Did you chat to him during the day? Is it not worth a conversation? He's a super, super talent as well. Superstar player, superstar bloke. Do you just let them figure it out in those instances?
I think so. I remember as a player myself and I was a forward. The last thing you wanted when you're kicking points is someone to tell you you're kicking points.
You're not trying to.
Yeah, so you're not trying to kick points. I was probably a bit the other way. we were getting what we wanted, and I was, you're more comfortable with that. You can't. What can you control?
Yeah.
I can control the stoppage. Looks like they're going to come up with our forwards. Let's keep our forwards coming up. I can't really control, a point or a goal, but we were certainly getting the game on our terms, which was good. Like there's Goodsy, yeah.
He's everywhere, Goodsy.
It's interesting.
Was he the best
back.
athlete you've ever seen from a footballer's point of view?
Bernie Quinlan?
Yeah, too far before
Yeah,
my
too far
time.
behind
Sorry.
most of your
in this
listeners.
generation. Was he as
I think
as
as an explosive athlete, and he wasn't great aerobically, as you probably know, but he never got tired in a game, which was unusual.
Yeah,
like he was just a great game runner, and he was big, like physically. He played in the ruck, he played centre back, he played centre forward, and an explosive, agile midfielder.
Yep. This play I saw last night, Roosie. So we just spoke about Nick Davis's game in the semi-final. I reckon he would have kicked at least 2. The last one, the snap you referred to, maybe 3 goals from forward 50 stoppage.
Yeah.
So this is a phase of the game that requires so much selfless play to get a good look at goal, because in both of these grand finals, you kick a lot of goal from forward 50 stoppages. So just look at this. Buchanan, I think, kicks this goal. But again, look at the space that's opening up. So this requires a lot of players to be like, not my turn to kick the goal, get the ball. But if the team gets a goal, that's a result for us. So look how much space you create from everyone pulling out. Yeah,
this probably typifies, Tommy, us as a team, I reckon, the forward 50 stoppages, because only one person can kick a goal. And you look at this, Eamon Buchanan, 2 weeks before it was Nick Davis, and they probably know what we're trying to do. That's the crazy part of it.
Yep.
But our guys are so disciplined. That takes 18 players really to kick that goal.
And that's hard to, again, here's the replay behind the goals.
Yep. You look at the guys pulling out on the left-hand side.
That's hard to get, I'm telling you, from playing in a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
It's hard to get buy-in. Everyone wants to kick the goal. It's it's just the reality. Look at even, is it Goodsy or Mickey O on the left there blocking, not even looking at the ball to create some gaps for Schneider.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that's Shawnee Dempster, mate, who's playing half back. So he comes up to make sure his opponent has to come out to him as well.
Yeah, and
so he's dragging his opponent out of what could have been Benny Matthews putting a block on there, Chad Fletcher. All right. So you're right. There's 20 people involved in kicking that goal. And we did it 2 weeks before, and West Coast would have seen it happen, and we're still able to do it.
Yeah. No, it's seriously.
And we would have practiced that, mate, hundreds of times.
At training?
Yeah, at training.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. I need to ask you about this, because I know you've been asked about it a lot, but Hawley had his moments of undiscipline. And here's a little one here where just a little coat hanger. Was that frustrating at times as a coach, those little free kicks, or did you like the fact that a big physical player, you don't mind if a few happen?
It didn't happen a lot, mate. So in that period, I took over halfway through 2002. So I reckon from 03 probably to the end of 06, he was super disciplined. People forget that a lot because of probably the way it ended at Sydney. But he was a really selfless, disciplined player. And that didn't happen very often at all. I would say he's one of our more selfless players because, as you know, as a big forward, your ruckman's dropping back on you. Yeah, sometimes the ball's not coming in the way you wanted it to do. So for that, at least that 4-year period, he was super disciplined.
Yeah. What was his bench press in the gym? Do you know?
150s?
Was it really?
Right? I reckon it was,
We've spoken a little bit about Buchanan's game. He's just involved again here.
Yep.
Again, a player that doesn't have the perception of a Kirk, Goods, Bolton in terms of longevity either, but he just has some big moments. Look at his work here at stoppage. Good stoppage craft, pushes off. He's just tough. He bursts through the stoppage, laces out. O'Keefe. That's amazing play.
As you know, mate, every premiership team's going to have some underrated players. He was a great high half forward because he was tough. As you can see there, he had that burst of speed that he could get outside a contest. He didn't fumble. He was prepared to tackle. He was just the ultimate high half forward, and he had a great grand final, a really, really good grand final, particularly in this last quarter.
My favourite part about watching footy from this generation this is my favourite footy to watch, by the way, is the 5-minute warning sign. It used to pop up. Again, Bolts is heavily involved as well, just an absolute goer. Who are the three, or the two spring to mind for me straight away, but if you're going to war, is it Kirky, Bolton? Is that who you're taking? In terms of toughness. Let's just talk pure toughness.
Pure toughness?
Yeah. Pick three for me.
What's that?
Pick three of your players for me in toughness.
Kirky. I don't want to disrespect anyone else.
Yeah.
Probably, and I'd say their teammates would say, there's Kirky, Judd, and probably Leo Barry, mate.
Yeah.
Like Leo, like I said, I prided myself as a coach on not giving players a role that they couldn't carry out, and I failed Leo. Mate, go and play on blokes that are 6'4" and 105 kilos, and good luck. And he did it. He did it. He did it. It was amazing what he was able to do. But yeah, I think they were probably marginally ahead a couple of others.
What about this sort of stuff, Roosie? I just know who you are as a person and the little things you would have coached.
Yep.
The discipline in these moments you see constantly Swans players take the ball over the line,
Yep.
go wide in these positions, no risk. Like you would have drilled this into these guys. I just know you would have. Like Buchanan could have gone quarter, Kearns boundary, D half.
Yep.
Davo pretends to keep it in, runs it out of bounds, all those little things.
Yeah, again, I think for us, footy was a game of, percentages. What's your likely percentage of scoring? And in that instance, it's hard for us to score in this situation. Yeah, so
Davo again runs it over the line.
Yeah, Davo runs it up. So we're inching it up further. We definitely want to score, even though we're 4 points up. But you're right. Our players had a great ability to be able to read the situation because we'd practiced it and practiced it and practiced it over and over and over again.
Yep. Okay, so Kirky's taking an inset mark at the old cramp fake. I'm not sure if that's part of the game plan, but that's very funny from Kirky. And this is just where you need a smart players.
Well, even go back, Tommy. Go back to that stoppage because they get what they want in this stoppage.
Yeah, so they had a defensive cover at the stoppage. So,
and I think one of our players probably didn't play their role in this case. I think.
So is he too free in your eyes? Should
well, the guy at the back there, I reckon, although I think our players come into the stoppage probably a bit quick, but if you're looking outside, like I think that's Ryan O'Keefe who's got corridor. But my point is, look at Kirky covering. And I don't know but I think someone's maybe not in the right spot at this stoppage. But look how quick Kirky gets back now into the defensive 50. All right, so he's gone. Ryan's in a really good spot, puts pressure on Embley. Embley has to do a U-turn, and bang, there's Kirky. Kirky was at that stoppage.
Defensive transition,
yeah.
Quick story on Kirky. I hit him up when I was 17 when I first got to the club.
Yeah.
He was the first bloke that come up, shook my hand, showed me around.
Yeah.
And I was like, Kirky, do you mind if we get a coffee? I hit up him and Goodsy. I just thought that was what I wanted to do, just to pick the brains of the absolute best. And he took me out and just asked me a few questions. That night, he typed me an A4 document. Right. He said, "This is a bit about me. This is a blueprint for you."
Yeah, right.
He said, what did he say? He just gave me a bit about his meditation, his diet. Yep. And then he also said, I asked him about his mentality.
Yep.
And he said to me, he said, I trained myself so hard that I knew I was mentally tougher than any one of my opponents. Yeah. He's like, I know I'm mentally tougher than any of them, so I knew I had them mentally every time. And he played like that.
Yeah, he did. He played like that because he had limitations. Like he was a really good runner, but we know he's not quick. But he's a classic guy. He's maximise your strengths. Like he would minimise his weaknesses and maximise his strengths. That mental toughness. 3K time trial, he'd be pushing himself harder than anyone else. And he worked extremely hard to get the best out of himself.
So Goodsy just got a 50 from Staker. What do you think about this, right? So your best player, do you give him a licence from 55 to have a shot, ice the game, or would you prefer a chip to the pocket?
Well, we actually had a semi-joke that players had their licence. So I don't know whether Goodsy had his licence. I'd have to go back and...
What sort of licence are we talking?
Well, Nick Davis had a licence.
Have a shot from anywhere? Or from outside 50?
Outside 50. Like, you had to have a licence. Judd didn't have a licence. Judd didn't have a licence.
Like a driver's licence?
Yeah, like a driver's licence. Outside 50 licence. Nick Hawley had a licence. Nick Davis had a licence. So I'd have to go back over some old notes, Tommy, to see if Goodsy had a licence.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Goodsy next week, by the way.
Ask him if he had a licence.
I'm up in Sydney for the Tottenham Hotspurs game, a soccer game with AIA, and Goodsy's coming along. So I haven't seen him for years. But he was another guy I live with. He looked after me as well. And flashes to the box here, Roosie, 31-minute mark.
Yep.
Let's see how calm you're looking.
Let's go back.
Oh, mate, you look cool as a cucumber. You and Rossi Lyon.
Well, this is my thoughts here because a lot of people ask about this last sort of 2 minutes. There's nothing a coach can do really in this situation. Yeah, we've just got to hope the players, as they were the last 2 weeks prior to this, but there's two good teams, mate. You're playing the grand final. Yeah, there's two really good teams on the ground. Really, both teams are well coached. Both teams have got good players. It's really hand over the players now. You can't do anything in the coach's box, really. again, you look at the discipline of the stoppages.
Who's flashing in the back of the
I
screen?
reckon Wirrpanda's flashing through here.
He is.
He's going from back to forward.
So he's taking a punt. We need to win the game.
Yep, we need to win the game.
Who goes with him there?
I think it's Fozzie.
Yep.
So discipline again, just lets him go through. There's Sampy on the back of the stoppage, I reckon it was, trying to create something.
So this is outside
and then
space
they
for
get on the
Eagles.
outside.
That's alarm bells a little bit, but although they are going back. But look, this is what I wanted to ask you about. So we've spoken about Leo Barry.
Yep.
The iconic mark is spoken about. Look at these efforts.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Look at this crash, and then look at this.
Yep. Ground ball.
Crash.
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 Yep.
Hand in.
Yep.
Pressure.
Yeah, this is the one where I thought it was going to bounce straight up into his hands, actually.
Oh, man, that's centimetres away.
Because where our angle was, I thought he was running into an open goal. I didn't realise the ball had trickled forward.
Wow.
But yeah, contest after contest after both teams prepared to put their bodies on the line. And we'd practice that, go short first and then go long down the line. And then, like I said, Cox was a great player. So if you look at both teams are handling this situation really well.
Yeah.
Like we've gone shorter, which we want. We've gone longer then. Cox didn't spoil it. He bodies his opponent out, marks the ball, reels round on his left foot. So both teams in this situation are probably handling as best they probably can.
And then the iconic mark.
Yep.
Talk us through this, because the siren goes, you can barely hear it, but talk us through your emotion.
Yeah.
Everything from when the ball's going inside 50, take it away.
Well, I remember when Cox kicked it, I looked down the other end of the ground because I thought there's nothing I can do now. And then someone in the box yelled out, Leo's marked it. And then we couldn't hear the siren at all. And then someone yelled out, the siren's gone. And then we knew we'd won. So it was a really bizarre sort of end to the game. It was almost like I remember sort of thinking, oh, well, I can't do anything. Hopefully, something good happens rather than something bad. And then Leo marks it. I think Peter Jonas yells out, the siren's gone, and then the game's over, because you don't have any. I always wondered, you probably would. I don't know what you'd be like as a coach, but would you rather win by 10 or win by this? Would you like to have that?
I only had the experience of winning a grand final by under a goal.
Yeah, you were the same.
It was the hardest physical game I've ever been a part of, but it's the most rewarding experience of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think, because you had no time as a coach to relax until the siren goes. And then the siren goes and you realise you've won the game, and then we spent a bit of time in the coach's box together, and then you get on the ground, and but certainly the last couple of minutes is just so frantic.
Well, that's a wrap for the gamer, Izzy. Let's hit the whiteboard, because I feel like you being able to break down outside space, selflessness at forward 50 stoppage, and overall concept for the 2005 Swans premiers is what the fans are going to love to see.
Beautiful. Yeah, so this was the sort of philosophy of the Swans, Cousins, Judd, Kerr. We wanted to win inside and outside space. So really what we wanted to do is, when I say own outside space, clearly we want to score. So again, that was a bit of a myth about, we just don't want to defend the whole game because you're never going to win anything. So if we look at our half forwards, if we could get, so there's a number of different philosophies. So we wanted to sort of try and close here. Yeah, we don't want these guys streaming back a stoppage through.
So the S is where the stoppage is. Swans are going up.
We're going up.
Yep.
So I've got Mickey O, and we're trying to get an open forward line because we've got some talented forwards. Barry Hall, hard one-on-one, Mickey O'Loughlin. So there's two reasons to jam the stoppages. One is to stop those great players, but two is if we can get really good open space going forward, we know we've got some forwards that can win one-on-one contests. We know we've got some on the lead. And we've got some disciplined midfielders, Tommy, in here as well. We've got some guys that can win inside space, and we've got some good runners on the outside. So basically, that's what we're trying to do.
I can see number 32 on screen. So Amon Buchanan's a high half forward. And the way that West Coast played as well as the Swans was one-on-one. So you're saying the high half forward comes up, it jams the stoppage, but it also frees up your forward line. And as this stoppage plays out, by bringing the half forwards up, he's actually the player that gets involved at the back and wins the ball on his left foot. And he's going into, it's probably a bit of a risky kick, this one. You probably prefer a deeper entry, but look how much space there is for a one-on-one. Like you mentioned, Barry Hall, it's in our forward.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's probably a few of them where we marked it around that, and Hawley marking and kicking from here. But the other one was Snide, so 13 and 32. So we had two half forwards that were really smart, could win their own ball. So we wanted, we might, sometimes we'd have, if we go 13 here, so Snides might come even to the back of the stoppage. So if his man would come with him, this is good luck for us. One half forward here, one half forward here.
Yeah.
So, and then a wing here,
Yeah.
depending on where their wingman goes. So we've got really good coverage.
And then within in the middle of it, you've got Judd, Bolton, Kirk, your hard nuts. So they're doing the inside work, and then you got the layers on the outside.
Yeah, and you can see, it wasn't like, again, another one of the misses, we crowded the stoppage. It wasn't like, when you're looking at the stoppage, and it's funny when I look back on it, Tommy, there's a fair bit of space around the stoppage, isn't there?
Yeah, no, there is.
There's like good space we can come through. So we weren't just trying to get numbers, to neutralise the stoppage. Yeah, we're trying to get it to Eamon on the outside. We're trying to get it, Snide getting back in. We're trying to get Goodsy on the fly at times. And as you said, we've got hard nuts inside that can win one-on-one contests. Our forward 50 stoppage has probably summed up our grand final win in 2005.
So, Roosie, we can see here there's a stoppage. You guys are down by 5 points in a low-scoring game. Look at all the players pull out. And this is a pattern because the semi-final, which Nick Davis kicked 4 goals in the last, I reckon 2 or 3 of them were from forward 50.
Yep.
And you see players there open up, very selfless play. And the exact same thing's happening now in the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, well, I mean, your philosophy, Tommy, really is you sort of know that your forwards are going to get manned up. Now, so even though we've only got 2 in front of the ball here, generally we're saying, guys, pull back into the goal square, or you can see a couple of them mixed going over to this side here. All right, so we're trying to get this space through here. Now, the trick is where their mids are going to go. Are they going to have a high half forward coming up? So we're getting what we look. Kerr's looking around here going, so thankfully we're trying to get our mids sort of like back here. Even our defenders coming up, which might drag their high half forward back. So we're sort of getting here what we want to get, and there's some really good space. We're trying to hit it. Jason Ball's trying to hit it through here. The week before it was Nick Davis. This time it's Eamon Buchanan coming through and kicking the goal. But we would practice this so often. But Tommy, as you know, that's one of the hardest things, to get space in your forward 50.
Well, everyone wants to kick the goal. That's the reality.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I find fascinating about this clip and so selfless. Michael O'Loughlin, who's probably your most talented player or best goal kicker. Look at the block. He's not even looking at the ball. He's blocking for Schneider.
Yep.
You've got Dempster at the top of screen. You referred to, like, Daniel Kerr doesn't know, do I go outnumber the ball or do I... Like, if Dempster's in the stoppage, Kerr probably gets the ball.
Yep.
Forwards pulling away. Like, there's so many moving parts.
Yeah, exactly. And even Benny Matthews, number 4. You watch Benny here. He blocks for Fletcher.
He does too. Yeah, he blocks Fletcher.
And Wirrpanda sort of doesn't really know what to do. Here do I go with Fosdyke? He ends up stepping across late, but he's going to Davo. So you see that. So because Davo was the one that kicked the goal in the semi-final. Yeah. So Wirrpanda's going, well, I'm not going to go to Buchanan. And see, almost like, oh, hang on. I'm going to the wrong player here. So they would have set up for it because they would have seen us do it over and over and over again. But when you've got disciplined players, it's really hard to sort of stop. We all know what's going to happen. They all know what's going to happen. But for Wirrpanda, unfortunately, for us it was fortunate. Unfortunately for him, it didn't go to Davo on that. If it did, he makes a really good tackle. It goes to Buchanan. But the ability to get space, I think, Tommy, the biggest thing, it doesn't happen. You've got to practice it and you've got to have selfless players.